Hi guys, Josh here from the Livingseeds Farm. It is a beautiful spring day. It's starting to feel a lot like summer. Unfortunately, the weather forecast for Monday shows that there's a high likelihood of cold weather and indicates that there may be frost. We're going to keep an eye on it and we're going to take precautions just to be safe with our plants. There are things that we can do to protect the plants from the frost, but unfortunately those that are transplanted into the ground can't now be moved inside. The convenience of seedlings, if only we could do that. But on this scale, there's just no way we can do that. So we're going to show you some ways that we are going to be protecting the seedlings on Livingseeds Farm over this weekend in anticipation for Monday, and we urge you to take precautions yourself. As the plant has gotten higher and it's gotten thicker, as the height has increased, so is the thickness of the stem. And what's really cool now is even when the frosts come, if we're able to protect the stem, the plant will be able to survive. So what I'm going to show you now is how we're going to be doing this on all our tomato plants on the whole farm. We're going to be liberally applying wood shavings to encase the stem and the core of the plant to prevent frost from actually causing it damage. We're going to have mounds of shavings all over the farm. Come next week this time, we want to have tomato plants that have survived, so we have to do what we have to do. Alright, so you see how I've done this tomato by hilling up with the wood shavings as a mulch to protect the plant. I'm going to actually take this a bit higher, but for the purpose of demonstration and explanation, these are leaves that emerge from the top as well as the growing tips are most likely going to take damage should the frost come. However, the laterals and the plant further down the stem should survive, and that'll allow the plant to regrow and continue to survive throughout the season. Alright, so this variety has been covered to protect its stem and the core of that stem from the frost damage that's likely to come this coming Monday. This is Violet Jasper, one of 63 varieties of tomatoes we're growing in the show garden this season. Well, I should say this year. Coming next year, second half of our season, we'll be planting out some other varieties. I digress. So these plants have been hilled up quite generously with this wood shavings. These wood shavings are there to protect the plant, prevent the plant stems from succumbing to the cold weather that's to come. Any ice that settles on the leaves will burst the cells in the leaves and cause the cells to die. And that's what we want to avoid. We're going to go around the show garden and into the production fields. I'm going to be showing you how to layer on and protect these plants as best you can. This New England sugar palm has been enjoying the spring sun and the heat that I talked about earlier. It's well established. It's actually, you won't be able to see from that distance, but it's got vines going off in 4 directions already. One main one and 3 others going out the side. Oh, 4 others going out the side. What's important about this is to maintain the main structure of the plant, the main stem. The growth tip going to the far extent may be lost, but these others, it can shoot out and grow from there. So what we'll do in this scenario is cover the main body of the plant from the root to cover most of the growing tips that are visible. And even though this might be visible, if you don't have the resources or the means to cover the entirety of the plant, then cover the most important parts of it. The same for peppers and tomatoes. I'm going to talk more about peppers and tomatoes shortly. But in terms of a long bush, a long vining squash like the New England sugar pie, the butternuts that are well established at this point, you want to at least cover the main areas. However, in the case of these vining squashes, actually by just training the plant down, we can actually cover the entirety of the growth point. It just makes a longer pile of shavings or of frost protection. When it gets to this point, you can actually just be very liberal with the shavings to cover the plant. And as so, we might lose these larger leaves, but all the growth points that are necessary for this plant to continue and re-establish itself after the frost are left intact. Bush beans are very frost sensitive, so by covering them up, you protect your plants and you don't have to restart. Although they grow relatively quickly, you don't want to lose this 6 to 8 weeks you might have already put into these beans. So it's better just to spend time covering them, and by doing so, protecting them. There are plants that grow slower and are really worth the time and effort to protect in this manner. Peppers grow very slow, brinjals are very slow, and tomatoes. So things like pumpkins and squash and bush beans, if you can't cover them, you just prepare yourself to replant. Looking at this pepper plant, You can see that growing up the stem there are some growth points and shoots coming out the sides. Chilies and peppers are typically bush habit growth plants. Now we're going to try and cover this whole pepper in its entirety. As I was saying earlier, peppers and tomatoes, tomatillos and the slow growing plants and brinjals are well worth protecting. These potato plants, definitely a summer crop, definitely sensitive to frost. We have already hilled up the potatoes with additional mulch to keep the soil cool, to keep the potatoes moist and damp so that they're not drying out. This hilling up, good time to do it ahead of this weekend because you're going to need to cover and protect the plant anyway. As you can see, this potato has been completely covered over by the wood shavings. These act as an insulator, separating the potato from the cold weather to come. The frost won't be able to settle on the leaves, it will instead settle on the surface, and this will insulate the plant, keeping it warmer than the ambient temperature of the air outside. Alright guys, this is how we're doing it on Livingseeds Farm. We're putting in extra effort to protect the crops that we've spent weeks and weeks preparing and growing so far. We highly recommend that you take reasonable precautions, put a little bit of extra time, effort, and a little bit of cost in protecting your crops rather than having to start again. We wish you all the best of luck with this cold snap. Protect your plants and good luck.